Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another installment of My Friend Show. I'm your host, Don, and I'm joined today by Chris Lowe. Chris and I are taking you on another journey, another adventure through the Reddit strings, the feeds, the posts, and we're pulling out some of the best questions we can find and really trying to provide our unbridled opinions on them. Today we're going to be looking at 3 questions. The first one has to do with the naming of an elementary school. The second question is about a health teacher struggling with 2 young ladies. And our third question for today comes from a young person who's struggling to find motivation in their life. Before we dive into that, we wanted to do another segment on recommendations. And I don't know if we can recommend this one, Chris, but what did you think about that show, How I Met Your Father?
Well, there's a highlight in the show, which is great, and that's Hilary Duff. She's excellent, but she is surrounded by terrible characters. It's not developing the way it should. It's not as good as How I Met Your Mother, which it needed to be just as good, if not better. Do you love Hilary Duff?
She's growing on me. I didn't have a previous connection with her, but she's definitely growing on me as she's holding that show together. It's really that British guy that ruins the show.
Yes, yeah, he is not good. He is overdramatic, overplaying his role. I wish he could dial it back a little bit because he does have the other characteristics. He's tall, he's kind of goofy, but no, I can't recommend that show, and it mostly is the British guy.
Yeah, it's a good show to watch on your cell phone. Like, you can just sit there and zone out, and maybe your significant other will appreciate the show more than you do.
You bring up a good point there. That's 100% what the show is. Your significant other might like the show a little bit more. You can easily play on your cell phone, surf Reddit, join our Reddit thread, and answer questions while you're watching it. An excellent show for watching while you're on your phone.
Yeah, which I think that's kind of important. You got to have those shows where, like, your wife or your girlfriend maybe wants to watch it a little bit more than you do, and you can just kind of zone out and surf our content. Surf what we're putting out instead.
Yeah, and there is some highlights. Hilary Duff is very pretty.
Yeah, and she's not a bad actress. She definitely hangs. She holds it.
We can't just leave on a non-recommendation. I do have a better show, a little bit more depth to it, and that would be Community. Community is a good show. By no means is it Emily in Paris, but there's a lot of episodes, which is really important to at least me. I don't just get hooked into it. Community has maybe 7 seasons at this point, and it's probably done. I haven't gotten to the end, but would imagine they ended that. And
yeah, so you're just looking for something that you can kind of trash through at this point. You want a commitment.
That's a trash through, throw it on if you fall asleep. Hey, no big deal, and you can pick it up wherever you left off. If your significant other falls asleep, you can continue watching it, and you don't have to rewind it for them. They don't have to watch that previous episode.
I got a recommendation, too, that I'm watching right now. It's this is a new show. It's The Girl from Plainville. This is a heavier show. This is not a comedy. This is no Emily in Paris. It's about that young lady from Massachusetts who texted her boyfriend, like, encouraging him to end his own life. And it was a precedent-setting case. They had never run into anything like this before. And just kind of watching that whole process, and they're really building out the characters right now and making this young Massachusetts woman look like a real psychopath. So I recommend it, but it is a heavy show. You're not going to watch this one on your cell phone.
I'm going to give one more. I'm going to give one that is not something you'd be texting during because it is a good show. It's an Emily in Paris meets maybe Bridgerton, and it's not like Bridgerton, but it's that good. Ugly Betty.
Yeah, you've been trying to sell me on that for a while.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet.
Why haven't you watched it yet?
I don't know. There's just too much content out there yet. It sounds interesting, and I know, this is the unconventional recommendation section of the show, so this definitely doesn't fit the mold for the average, male viewer here. But this show, from what you've told me, really kind of checks a bunch of boxes as far as like comedy, character development, also something you can watch with your significant other.
Yes, very surprising that it is so good. I was not expecting that with the name Ugly Betty. If you were to read what the show is about, you probably wouldn't be interested in it. But when you do watch it, just like Emily in Paris, you will get addicted to it. And it has a lot of seasons. It's got a lot of episodes, plenty of time to kill. Watch Ugly Betty.
That's a true unconventional recommendation for this episode. Then is Ugly Betty.
I did get feedback on our segment about Emily in Paris, and I actually got two components of feedback. I got, this show is terrible, and then I got, hey, what's your next recommendation? And I wrote back, well, you said my last recommendation was terrible, and he said, yeah, we just finished it. What's the next one?
See, these are unconventional recommendations. They're not supposed to fit your mold, but they do have real redeeming qualities that you really have to appreciate. And Emily in Paris was by far the best one that has come out of this conversation, and you spearheaded that. Like, I can't take credit there. That was really like your choice recommendation that I fell into.
And that came from Aaron Rodgers. I trust that man. Everything he says is just gold. So what he says, I go with. I wish he would give more recommendations, because that one really worked out well for us and our viewers.
Well, we'll get him on the show. Aaron, we appreciate it.
You have no idea who Aaron Rodgers is, but that's fine.
I think he's a quarterback. Come on. I know enough about sports. Not a lot, but enough. All right, enough mucking around here. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get down to the questions that we have for this episode. Question 1 is an interesting one, honestly. Is it a good idea to name an elementary school after the Native American tribe that originally inhabited the area? United States Pacific Northwest is where this question is coming from. My neighborhood is accepting suggestions for a name for the new elementary school down the street. I thought it would be nice to give the school a name that acknowledges the Native communities that once rightfully lived here. The city itself is named after the European politician who settled the area in the 1840s. Is there any reason my idea is a bad one or is in poor taste? I want to make sure I am being sensitive to history and the feelings of Native people today. Chris, what do you think about this one?
No chance naming it after a Native American community will work well. Even if it's in good taste, it's just not a long-term solution for a name. Go with something generic. The Jets, the light bulbs, whatever you want to call it. Anything besides something that's just going to get canceled in a week.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I didn't think of it that way. That this may actually be, even if it's good intentioned, a point of contention at some point because it feels like appropriation or it's just not the appropriate name, like Masconomet and those places that we have around here with their sachems and things like that. Oh, it's such a great call.
It's not my true feelings about it, but from what we're seeing right now, it just appears that it would be over very quickly. It might last 10 years, but in that 10 years, you'd have to then come up with a new name. We have the local Amesbury Indians. That one's gone. No chance. That is gone. I see articles about it. I'm not even reading it. I just know there's just no chance that lasts. Which, hey, I have no opinion on that. I'm not going to throw my not going to throw my cards in on that. But what I do hear at the local water holes in Amesbury, it sounds like people are not happy the name's going away, very disappointed, which you shouldn't invest too much into it. You shouldn't be disappointed. It is what it is. But what are we going to go to? A different name? We're going to become the Commanders? We're going to become the Jets? The Hawks?
Pumas.
The Pumas.
Pushing for Pumas. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for in Amesbury.
And we're seeing it elsewhere too. In Major League Baseball, was it the Guardians now? They used to be the Indians.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. I was kind of torn on this. Like most of what, knee-jerk reaction, I'm like, yeah, name it whatever you want. That seems like a nice idea. But thinking about it from a broader standpoint, I think, yeah, they may be asking for trouble here, even though they're trying to do potentially something that they think is right. I see a lot of avenues where this could get them, canceled, air quotes, canceled in the future on that.
Yep. And it's not that an appropriate name right now wouldn't work. We do have, like Don mentioned, we have Masconomet. That's good for now. That's clearing the hurdles, but how long does that stay Masconomet?
It's been a while, right? Like it's been a while with that name, though.
It has been, but same with the Amesbury Indians, and that's why Amesbury is so passionate about keeping it the Amesbury Indians, is because it's been like that for a long time. But once the Indians name goes away, do we now focus on Masconomet? Probably.
Oh, they're coming for Masco for sure. Yeah, like they're going to clean up the general ones that everybody knows, or at least can misconstrue very easily. But then they'll come after the other ones too.
The Sachems?
Sachems are definitely in trouble. The Chiefs. Anyone who's called the Chiefs is probably in trouble.
Yeah. Agawam? Who knows? The Diner's going to have to change its name.
I think didn't they have to change their logo anyways already? I think they did.
Probably. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I see that being problematic. Yeah. And in the long term, problematic. And also, even with the evidence, there were so many different tribes that had probably existed in that area during the pre-colonization of the area, that which one do you pick? Do you pick the last tribe? Do you pick the one that was the largest? Do you pick the one that had the most clout? Like it's a very hard line to draw there, where you're going to be potentially offending or excluding the people that you meant to build up with this project. So I'm with you here. I was almost leaning towards, fuck it, name it whatever you want, but I think you made a great point with this.
Oh yeah, even names like Blackhawks, those, we'll see that name changed, and you can get people on board with it. You can get the Native American community on board with it, and it's still going to go away because there will be a community that is offended by it. But there are plenty of names out there that you can go with, just like what we're seeing. The Braves becoming whatever they're becoming. The Indians became the Guardians. The Washington football team, it's no longer the Washington football team. I think they're changing it. I think they are changing it to the Commanders. So they
went from Redskins to Washington football team, and now they're going to something else?
Yes. Yeah, I think they finally came out with being the Commanders, which is kind of a cool name. I actually like the Commanders over, say, the Guardians. The Guardians just sounds ridiculous.
Really, I kind of like that one. I think you could have some cool swag for that, like a knight in shining armor or Guardians of the Galaxy. It would start parlaying in some Marvel.
It'd be good if it was like, I don't know, the Groveland Guardians. That sounds good. But the Cleveland Guardians, it just doesn't flow right.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have picked for Cleveland, though. There's not much going on over there. Right? Like what?
The Cleveland Stinkers.
Yeah, Cleveland Stinkers.
Maybe the Steamers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like that. Don't they have a big steam industry there? I've heard that name before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steam engines, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. All right. Before we get in too much trouble here, we're going to round it out with question one being that no, don't name it after the potential native community that had lived there previously. I see too many holes in that, and I think Chris made some great points on it. Let's go to question 2. Let's see if you can come through with some sagely advice on this one. Question 2 is, how can I resolve this? I am a health teacher, and today I got a 12-paragraph email from an angry parent. Here's the deal. 2 girls in my class who aren't friends, both were in a pageant, Susie and Grace. Grace won, and her mom emailed me that night asking if she could wear her crown in class since she was so excited. I agreed because I'm a grown man with better things to worry about. Grace had wore her crown all week, no issues, but no Susie. Susie showed up today, and she got mad about how Grace was wearing it and rubbing it in her face. Grace mostly ignored her, and class proceeded. Long email from Susie's mom, basically detailing how, at the show on Saturday, Grace apparently mocked Susie after defeating her, and told her to bow before the queen, which made her cry. Susie apparently also cried after class. Susie's mom is threatening to go to the school board. I feel in the middle of a petty-ass fight. What y'all think? What do you think, Chris?
What an epic mistake by him letting the
fail.
kid.
I agree.
Why would you let the kid wear a friggin' crown like that? And then knowing on top of it that those pageant moms are insane.
Yeah.
Both of those pageant moms are insane for sure. No chance. You can't let a kid wear a crown in class. It doesn't work. That kid is now really singled out as the winner. And why would you want your kid to wear a crown in class? That doesn't make sense. Have some sort of respect for the school.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Like, all of those things, you don't want to bring a distraction into the classroom. It's fine when children are young and they want to do like a show and tell and they get 15 minutes to talk about what happened. But this is a health class, so my guess is this is 4th grade or up, based on my experience with my own kids. There's no room for that. Like, they don't need that type of validation. They already won the pageant. That's where the validation comes from. So, I mean, this health teacher is clearly a novice and didn't think this through. Like, doesn't understand what little savages these children really are, and shouldn't have given them this opportunity.
We have to concentrate on the solution. The health teacher already made the mistake of underestimating these hellions. And what you could do in this scenario is, admit your mistake to the parents. You just say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have let her wear the crown. I'm sorry, she can no longer wear the crown. I'm sorry, this was an issue. And then you move on. If it goes to the superintendent's going to laugh. This is a joke. This is not a real problem to the superintendent. This was really just a small hiccup in a really big system. So I wouldn't stress it. I would just apologize to both parents and move on from it.
Well, there are a couple wrinkles in here that are interesting to me. First of all, Susie's mom is part of the problem. I think we all know that. You eloquently put it, that these pageant moms they're off the chain. But I also think there's a larger problem here where she's like going after the teacher now. And that shit happens all the time, where instead of being like, hey, Susie, you've got to be a little bit stronger than this. You've got to be a little bit harder than this. She went to the teacher and is now threatening the teacher's livelihood. And I feel like that's a problem across the board. I'm actually dealing with it right now. This morning, my daughter is dealing with some bullshit in class where a young man actually slapped her arm the other day. And I went a little crazy. I thought, where can I dig a hole and put this little body? But I didn't do that. That's a joke. But the thing that I talked with my daughter about, and she was like, Dad, I really want you to go to the teacher. And I was like, buddy, you gotta stand up for yourself in this situation. I know it sucks and it's scary, and I'm always going to protect you if you feel like you're going to get in trouble for something. But I can't be in class with you So if this kid is bothering you, you have to be the person that deters the situation. Talk to your teachers. You're going to have to be, it's going to be uncomfortable for a minute, and I'm sorry, but you've got to make yourself not a target anymore, kind of.
What you did was right. You had your kid trying to solve the problem instead of you. And we talked about this in our last episode about really just setting your kids up for the future and to be mentally tough, be prepared for what's going to come later on in life when you're not there to hold the hand. So I think you did a great job there, Don. And you have a good backup plan. You can go to the teacher yourself directly. I don't think you're going to be threatening the teacher to go to the school board.
No, yeah, probably not. Hopefully not. We'll see how crazy I get. Never know.
Call up your neighbor, the one with the shotgun.
Neighbor with the shotgun.
Yep. Just kidding. That's a joke.
Last episode, everyone. That's a joke from last episode. All right. Before I make any more incriminating statements about the future, let's go on to question 3. Question 3 is, I think, indicative of a larger issue that we have here. But let's dive into it. I want to have something that can motivate me to live. That's the title of the question. I want something to be passionate about or something to care about and be invested in, but everything I do in my life means nothing to me, and I'm always uninterested, and I don't have goals or dreams and stuff like that. What can I do? I want to have a reason to wake up in the morning, but I'm not motivated by anything. Chris, we've talked about motivation on this show previously. We've talked about what people need to do to get motivated. But you and I have both been looking across these hundreds of thousands of users on Reddit posting questions. And question 3, a version of that pops up every 3 or 4 posts, it seems, where young people, based on how they're writing here, are struggling to find meaning or reasons to be alive that I don't think was the same issue when you and I were much younger than them. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is a larger social problem. What do you think about when you see all of those posts about like struggling to live, essentially?
I usually slide through them because I don't want to bring that to our conversation, to our show, but it came to a point where it really was eye-opening. It was very eye-opening seeing how many people are posting about issues that they're having that are very, very hurtful to them. There are people out there right now that are really struggling, and they are struggling so much that they're going to an app or going to Reddit, we'll say, and they're posting about it, looking for advice. And we wanted to avoid it, but we can't. We can't just keep scrolling through that. So we're going to address it, I think. Try to address it the best we can. Really just all those that are struggling out there with these thoughts of depression, and really, when you dive through it, they're really thinking about next steps, and that scares me. So we do want to address it. We don't want to just keep ignoring it. It's become an epidemic. It really has. I think it's a silent epidemic. It's not one that you see in the newspaper. It's not one that you're going to read online over and over and over again. It's not being discussed. We're reading what the news wants us to read, and it's not what we're seeing in Reddit, which is a real, actual snapshot of a community, and it's a community in need. I'm not seeing posts about people being very sick with COVID. I'm seeing posts over and over and over about being depressed. Is that the real? Is that what's really going on right now? I think so.
Yeah, I do too, honestly. I think, you touched on COVID there too, and I think COVID was an accelerator to that problem because it isolated people. And I think before COVID, we already saw that uptick in specifically young people across social media having that negative self-image and that negative experience. And now, they got isolated for 2 years, removed from their friends. Now it seems like it's everywhere. And part of me thinks that it may just be people reaching out looking for interaction, so they make it seem as bad as possible, which is okay. Like that's how people start a conversation about a problem. But we do have some data to back it up where there is a huge upswing in physical, mental harm being done to people and things like that, mostly by themselves. So I can only imagine that this really is a larger issue here. And it's not just these people reaching out saying, hey, I want attention, look at me, I need help. I think they're genuinely asking these questions because they want to be heard.
Yeah, they're looking for advice. They're not going to their mother and father looking for attention. They're going to a completely anonymous community where they don't need to post about it. They're posting about it because they're serious about it. And once again, it's probably the most prominent question, the most prominent discussion point on the main area we pull from questions, which is our advice on Reddit. There's other threads that are more dedicated to mental struggles, and this one still is completely dominated by depression questions, and it's something that I'd really like more information about. I don't think we're putting our full effort into this. I think we're putting our full effort into being scared about Ukraine.
I see what you mean there. Yeah. Well, you mean like the actual country itself, or the people who are decision makers are not. Yeah, exactly. Nobody's hyping up the fact that young people are miserable right now. They're just feeding you another tragedy to distract you from that, I would say. Like the Ukraine situation is terrible. I would never wish that on anyone, but it certainly isn't the only problem that our country's facing, and it may not be the one that our young people are really experiencing the most. So that's a really great point.
It affects us also. I just everything that's happening. I'm generally a very happy person. I enjoy life. I find things to do. I stay very social. But when others are not happy, I find myself to be not as happy because it's harder to interact with people. They're stuck at home. They're hiding. They want to come out only sometimes. I can't even fathom what's happening in other countries where there's complete lockdowns, even still.
The lockdown in Shanghai, where those people, they were typing on Reddit, they haven't left their homes and they'd have no end in sight, just locked down.
Right now in the world, people are locked in their houses, and there was drones, literally drones flying around these big, huge apartment complexes with speakers saying, stay inside. Essentially, be scared.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting take on it too, is that these like motivated to live and these passionate about something questions are likely not only caused by, but definitely amplified by that level of fear that people are expected to live in now. If you're terrified all the time, or if you don't know what the future holds, how are you supposed to get into a hobby outside of running a media conglomerate called My Friend Show? Other than that, like you can't do anything because you're so afraid. And I think young people are really susceptible to that.
And we really have a great setup. My Friend Show, 2 co-hosts, we live right down the road from each other. We're able to go to the gym together. We're able to meet up and look at studios to record our show in. We are getting interaction every single day because we have someone local to us. But we know people that are not in that scenario. We've met people like that where they just started a new job. They don't know anybody at the job, or maybe they started the new job 2 years ago. It doesn't matter. They still know nobody there. Their best bet is to stay inside. They have nothing else to do. They don't have friends. They moved from a different state. I know people right now that don't have someone to hang out with, someone to talk with on a daily basis. And that's insane to me, because some of those people are not as emotionally strong as, say, you are, Don, or I am.
Yeah, I also know a few people who maybe even live locally who haven't really seen anyone since this pandemic started because they're afraid. You know what I mean? Like, there's even people who have the option to go out now who are still saying, no, it's too dangerous, you know, and there are always circumstances to justify certain activities. I would never tell a high risk person to engage in those activities, but at some point we have to stop being afraid, right? Like, we have to say life has to keep going or we're fucked.
Yeah. I mean, we have a mutual friend, Don, that me and you have not seen in, I don't know, years at this point. And even texting him is difficult at this point. I don't hear from him, and I'm pretty sure he maybe just started being able to go out and get coffee at the coffee shop. But essentially, I don't know if I'm going to see that person ever again.
Yeah, that is a real bummer. I know who we're talking about there. But I guess I want to come back to question 3 real quick, because I don't want to leave this person or anyone who's struggling with this hanging here. I think the idea about, like, you want to get out and get motivated to live, I think for me the easiest way to do that is to realize that being alive is kind of it's a gift, dude. Like, this is very rare that you're going to be alive. It's a 1 in a million chance that you were born, just in general. And so once you start to look at it that way, you're just like, oh, well, fuck it. Why would I waste this time? For me, this is all I'm getting. So I'm going to love this. I have a blast with this because fuck it. What else am I going to do?
Yeah. I mean, you really can live life with no consequences. If you're in this mindset, you could really take advantage of life and really go do some great stuff. It's not sitting at home that you're going to be doing these things that are going to really give you meaning to life. It's getting out. You know, it could be as simple as joining a soccer team. You might not have ever played soccer, but there's different levels of it. It might be more grand. It might be moving. It might be traveling, selling everything you have, getting a van, driving cross country, camping.
On an adventure.
Yeah. Go find something to do that's going to really, I don't know, keep your attention and to give you some sort of meaning. But don't just sit at the house and wonder why you are unhappy. Go find something that will make you happy. Don't stop and wonder what's next. Find everything. And maybe that's what you're doing on Reddit, getting all of this great advice, and then you're going to really just bring it all together and then try everything. But that's your option, is just keep trying, keep plugging away. Eventually you'll find something that will work for you.
Let's wrap up question 3. Best of luck to you and to everybody out there who's asking very similar questions. That's our 3 questions for this episode. Chris, did you have a riddle for me today?
I do.
Trying to stump the master.
I have a couple. We'll see how you do. If you can't get them, then I will just keep on going until you get one. So here we go. I reach for the sky, but clutch to the ground. Sometimes I leave, but I'm always around. What am I?
A tree.
Ah, good for you. It's an easy one. We'll give you
That's a warm up. That's a warm up.
That's a warm up. We'll call it warmies.
Warmies.
Okay. You use a knife to slice my head and weep beside me when I am dead. What am I?
Use a knife to slice my head and weep beside me when I'm dead. Mm-hmm. Onion?
It's an onion. All right. Let's see if we can go 3 for 3. I do have one that would definitely stump you, but I'm going to go with one more easy one because I want you to go 3 for 3 here. Look in my face, I am somebody. Look in my back, I am nobody. What am I?
Look in my face, I am somebody. Look in my back, I am nobody. Ooh. I have two ideas on this. First one would be mirror.
It's a mirror.
Yeah. The
3
second
for
one was
3.
going to be photograph, which also works, but...
I do want to ask you one more.
Okay.
George, Helen, and Steve are drinking coffee. Bert, Karen, and Dave are drinking soda. Using logic, is Elizabeth drinking coffee or soda?
Do the names for me one more time. Bert?
George, Helen, and Steve are drinking coffee. Karen,
Okay.
Dave, and Bert are drinking soda. Using logic, is Elizabeth drinking coffee or soda?
I think I'd have to write this down, which I don't have time for.
Let me give it to you one more time.
Okay.
And you don't even have to write it down. Think about the names. George, Helen, and Steve are drinking coffee. Bert, Karen, and Dave are drinking soda. Elizabeth, what is she drinking?
Soda.
Elizabeth is drinking coffee. The letter E appears twice in her name, and it does in the names of the others that are drinking coffee.
That makes sense.
Yep.
If I had written that down, I would have seen it.
You would
Maybe.
have.
Probably not. I'm trying to hype myself up there. I don't know if I would have noticed that logic.
I thought it was a harder one to really to understand when you're not looking at it. So I agree. You probably would. I think you would have got it if you were looking at it. But shit, good try. 3 out of 4, not bad.
3 out of 4. Good work. I love riddles. Thank you. We do have to give a quick plug. Hopefully we'll see it here. I'm going to right down there is the Reddit string. Come join us on that. We post all the questions there. We'd love your answers on them. Chris and I are not doctors. We don't know shit. So come give your feedback on it. And we'd love to hear what you have to say. Join in. You'll be able to link out to the episodes and participate in what we're doing here. You can also post questions, and there's a live chat going there as well. Other than that, it's the old like and subscribe, please.
Yep.
Twitter.
Also, right down there should be YouTube. Subscribe. I think we're up to 40.
Yeah, it's right around there. Yeah, 41. We got a new one yesterday.
41.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so all those links are on the Reddit page. They're also on our webpage, myfriendshow.com. Please come check us out. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
This land was made for you and me. They told Elijah McClain as he lay in the street, fear in his veins, blood on his teeth, nowhere to go but down. That's right, Elijah. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. Set in a Texas draw from a leather seat. Protesters swarming outside in their funny pink hats, bawling their eyes out, yeah. Don't worry, ladies, this land was made for you and me. land was made for you and me, as a citadel, a sanctuary from all the evils of the world. And we can run it down just like that. God's hand on our back, and you tell me, baby, who this land was made